You are all welcome to Creative Art Virtual Class. Our strand for today is visual arts. And then the sub-strand is planning, making, and composing. Under it, we'll look at principles of design. Introduction. Once you are familiar with the elements of art or design, you need to know how the principles of art or design can make your artwork better. The principles of art or design help artists organize the artwork so it feels comfortable to viewers and create a composition with a good design. So it's just about the principles of design which guides the artist to know how to use the elements of art. You see, in designing, you can't just start and then you create anything. You must know the rules govern the work that you are doing, and then that is the principles of design or art. What is principles of design? Principles of art or design are the rules that guides the artist when designing. Another definition is the principles of art represent how the artist uses the elements of art to create an effect and to help convey the artistic intent. The principles of design describe the way the artist uses the elements of art in a work of art. So all these three definitions are accepted. It all talks about the rules that guide the artist as to how to use these elements of art to design. And then some examples of the elements are balance, contrast, emphasis, movement, repetition, variety, pattern, and etc. That means we have a lot of the principles, but have listed few of them. Under balance, we'll look at the types of balance. We have the symmetric balance, asymmetric balance, and then the radial balance. Balance. So balance refers to the use of artistic elements such as line, texture, color, and form in the creation of artworks in a way that renders visual stability. Visual stability means there is balance in the work. So looking at the diagrams here, you see this one is not all that clear, but I believe you can see it. There are trees in the picture, two trees in the picture, and look at the position of them. If you divide the page into two, you will see that there is one at the other side, and then there is another tree at the other side. So there is balance. If you divide it into two, you can clearly see that there is balance in the work of the position of the object on the page. That is balance. They did not group all the pictures at one side of the page. They tried to spread it on the page just to achieve balance. Another example is here. So you see this picture, it is clearly balanced. So you see this ball and another ball here, which even tells you that there is balance in the work, and this work as well, day and night. Day and night, you see the page has been used very well. The page has been used very well. Look at the size of the sun and look at the size of the moon. They are equal in size and weight. That is balance in art. And then these are the three types of balance: the symmetric, asymmetric, and then the radial balance. So the symmetric is where the objects on the page are equal in size and weight. So if you look at this one, it is the same as this, equal in size and weight. So this shows symmetric balance, where object drawn at the other side of the sheet is equal to the object drawn at the other side of it. Then we move to the asymmetrical balance. So if you see, or if you look at this picture, you see that there is one tree here at the right side of the road, and then we have about 4 or 5 trees in line at the other side of the road. But if you look at the size of the one at the right side, it is bigger, and then the one at the left side are smaller. They are all smaller. So it creates a certain kind of balance here. It is creating a certain kind of balance here. We have trees here, we have a big one here. So let's say if you put the smaller ones together, it will be equal as the bigger one. So this kind of balance is called the asymmetric balance. This balance you see here is called the asymmetric balance. We have some smaller objects here and one big object at the other side, which to create balance in the work. Then we also have the radial balance. The radial balance, mostly the image is centered on the page. It is centered on the page. So you see this design, it has been placed at the center of the page. And then it can help bring the viewer's eye to a subject placed in the center. And so all the focus will go to the center of it. That is the radial balance. Yes, we also have contrast. Contrast, which refers to the arrangement of opposite elements and effects. So for example, we have light and dark colors, we have smooth and we have rough textures, we have large and small shapes. All these things are described as what? Contrast. So look at this design here. It talks about the contrast of what? Color, light and then dark. This one also talks about the color, the opposite color. So look at this. Here they use the red, and here the same position they use the green. Repeatedly here and then here. It tells you about what? Contrast in art. And here too they use the shade. That we have the dark tone and then the light tone here. So it talks about contrast. And here too, you see this part, they are all lines, talking of two colors, black and white. And then this part are smaller, the lines are drawn very small, and here has been spaced out a little, which shows contrast in it. And then this figure or this diagram as well. We move on to emphasis. Emphasis is a principle of art which refers to the use of visual elements to draw attention to a certain areas, usually a focal point in an art. So emphasis is mostly used to draw attention of the viewer. It is used to draw attention of the viewer. Sometimes you can just use color. You can use the size of the object to just create emphasis in your work. So looking at this, tomatoes, and then they are all red except one, just to create what? Emphasis. Look at this side. What do you see there? We have one big object here to create emphasis. If you look at this side too, you see they are all in black except one, just to create emphasis. Here, look at the shapes. Only one is very small amongst all, just to create emphasis. We move on to movement. Movement is the principle of art used to create the impression of an action in a work of art. It is how the eye moves through the composition, leading attention to the viewer from one aspect of the work to another. So this is used the movement is used here just to create something like the movement of the eye. It creates a certain action. It creates certain action in the work. So in works that has this principle, movement, the eye keeps moving. Now look at this diagram here. You see the eye will be moving. What is happening? So you would want to see what is happening in the art. It keeps the eye moving. So that is the action in the art we're talking about here. That is movement. Now if you come to this side to look, the art is showing some movement in the art. It is showing movement in an art, so the eye keeps moving. And then these ones as well, these ones as well. So there is movement of the eye. You can't center your eye at one particular place. You see that the eye will be moving over the work. That is movement, and it is so beautiful. Repetition is the use of two or more like elements or forms within a composition. There's the systematic arrangement of a repeated shapes or forms create pattern. So this is very simple. Just repeating something in your you keep repeating certain motifs in your art. That is what we call repeating, and then repetition, and it is common in pattern. It is common in pattern. So you see that the objects here are all repeated in a certain manner. These ones too are here repeating the shapes of the patterns. So this is what is known as repetition. You keep repeating just to create pattern in the work. And finally on my list, we'll look at variety. Variety means using different sizes, shapes and colors in your artwork to create visual diversity. So here we have variety of shapes, we have variety of colors and those things, so you can just use them in your work. Here they are not using, what can you see here? We have a lot of colors showing here. In one object they used a lot of colors. That explains variety. So it is colors but not of one color, different colors here used. Talking about variety. Here too same. Now look at the leaves. It varies in sizes. The leaves also varies in sizes. And then we move on to pattern. Pattern is a design in which lines, shapes, forms or colors are repeated. The part that is repeated is called a motif. So this is something similar to repetition. So all these things that you see here are pattern. The designs in it keeps repeating itself, and then as it keeps repeating itself, it creates what? Pattern. So all these are samples of pattern. We'll bring our lesson to a close. The lesson was prepared and presented by Sir Ben. Thank you very much for joining the class. Stay blessed and see you next week. Bye bye.